all of these apps, we're realizing, have a tremendous amount of ability to track our movements and our behaviors. And, one of the things Amanda said to me when we were building this is we have to make sure that people are safer.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from across the entire spectrum of non-monogamy to hear their fascinating stories. We always strive to bring guests on the show who have a healthy and positive approach to non-monogamy.
However, everyone approaches this a little different, and at its core, our show is about hearing and learning from the different experiences and approaches people have. With that in mind, it's important to remember that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of our own.
It's also important to remember that we aren't doctors or therapists and that we produce this show for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on this show.
One final thing that we need to let you know about is that this podcast will hopefully include some explicit language. So, if that kind of thing offends you, we suggest you just keep listening until it no longer does. However, if you're under the age of 18, you should probably stop listening or gather up your parents and listen as a family. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 53. We're Finn and Emma, and it's a special release day.
Yeah, happy Monday, if there is such a thing. Well, this makes your Monday a little happy.
Yeah, I think so.
So, what do we got? Today,
we have a special interview with Amanda and David, and they created, or are creating, an app called #Open.
Yeah, this is not a pay. They didn't pay us to come on the show. There's no money exchanging hands here. It's just a resource. They reached out to us. They put a lot of work into this, and they wanted to start getting the word out. And part of having a platform like we do is being able to support those things, and so we're going to do that.
Yeah, we talked to them and all about it, and just decided that it was definitely a resource that we wanted to promote and support on our show.
So they share a little bit about the app, they share a little bit about their story, and you'll probably notice it's a little bit shorter of an episode, but it's still packed with goodness.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, along those same lines, we just wanted to do, since it is a shorter episode, we wanted to take a minute really quick and talk about, sort of the theory and the strategy that we've got behind, resources. I know in the last couple of weeks we've introduced a few different ones. Some of them are paid, some of them are not paid. And I guess we just wanted to take a minute to say the goal behind these resources and all resources that we bring on the show are to provide an actual resource to people. It's not who's going to pay us the most money. If that was the case, we would have definitely different resources.
Yeah.
So the strategy here is who can we help, how can we help them, and how can we help the entire community as a whole. That's why we bring on different podcasters very frequently. That's why we throw a couple of resources at the beginning of the show. And that's why every once in a while we do an episode like this one, or we've got a couple more coming down the pipes in the future. So again, the idea is try to help the community as best we can by providing resources that we use and love. And if at the same time we can make a couple of dollars to help offset the show costs, then we think that's fair too. So
exactly. So be on the lookout for, I guess we're going to continue what we've been doing moving forward, mentioning a couple of resources at the beginning and at the end of the show. And it's just a way to get more things out there that we think are helpful for the community. And if it happens to support the show, that's just great.
Yeah, and so coming down the pipes, we've got another app that's being released. It's, I would say, not even really a competitor to this. They're sort of working hand in hand, so that's pretty neat. And we've got some stuff going on with some sex positive therapists. So
again, all just exciting things.
Some things that we think and we wish we had when we started. So we're glad to get them out there. And we just wanted to also say thank you to everybody for supporting the show, for listening, and for using the resources and the links and anything that you find valuable.
Yeah.
And if there is something out there that you know of that we haven't mentioned, please shoot us an email or
let us know.
A voicemail or whatever. Let us know so we can include it and try to help more people.
Yeah. If you want to check out the show notes, of course, or any of the resources, you can go and find them on our webpage, normalizingnonmonogamy.com.
Now, without further ado, no secret shiftiness, let's head over to the interview with David and Amanda.
Yeah, let's go.
David and Amanda, thank you for coming on and talking with us today. The founders of the new app. Co-founders of the new app. Hashtag open.
Hashtag open, yeah. We're really excited to talk to you today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh,
We're pretty excited to be here.
absolutely. And a little nervous, but those nerves we'll get through them. So we'll definitely give you a chance to talk about the app and how it works and everything here in a minute, but maybe so people know who you are, how did you wind up, open, so to speak, and a little bit about both of you.
Well, so for me, I am 39 years old from originally Northeast Tennessee, and 5 years ago moved back to the Boston area to get my master's degree. And during that time started just kind of exploring, myself and dating, and found this lovely man, and life has been changed ever since.
Well, you're too kind, but we had the fortune actually of meeting through an app, and it was really love at first sight. We had already connected, we had already communicated a fair amount about our interests, and it was a few years back, 2015. I think it was March.
It was.
And I had just ended a 25-year successful monogamous relationship and was sort of curious about what's out there. And I was very fortunate that you were curious at the same time.
Yes.
And so had either of you explored non-monogamy up to that point, or it sounded, on David, on your side, that it was a fairly monogamous relationship, but has it ever come up or been discussed?
Well, so you look back and you think about all the things that you never discussed, and it wasn't ever discussed. I see that as a really successful chapter of my life. A lot of great things have come out of it, and it informs what I do now. So I think that's some of why we approached our relationship differently. But no, it really wasn't discussed. And that's a long time to be together.
It is. And I just want to mention that I think that it's amazing that you look at that as a positive thing, even though the relationship ended. And of course, I don't know the details of why it ended, but you had a successful monogamous marriage, and it didn't end because both of you passed away. It was... Well,
you don't consider it a failure just because
right.
It ended.
That's my point, is that I think it's amazing when people look at relationships, whether they end or not, as successful, because a relationship can be successful in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Exactly. And, these two people convinced each other to go to sleep beside each other at night and still wake up beside each other in the day and do it all over again for 25 years. So that's a success just in its own way.
Yeah, for sure. So, and on your side, Amanda, had you explored non-monogamy before meeting David, or was this sort of all new to you as well?
I would say it was all kind of new to me as well. I had never, just kind of the nature of my background, never really had any long-term relationships. So I had always kind of stayed in that dating world. and so, but, wanted to date ethically, which is, a big part of also kind of, non-monogamy and being able to just kind of state what it is that you're looking for. Some people are dating so that they can get married and have 2.5 kids and a white, picket fence. And that's great. But, some people are dating because, they're looking for somebody just for right now, or they're looking for somebody to fill a different chapter in their life because of where they are in their life. But unless you have the ability to state that and have the ability to be with somebody who is going to listen to what that preference is, then you can't really date authentically.
Right. And I think that's fascinating. And I'm curious then, when you two both kind of came together, you said it was love at first sight, but then I'm assuming at some point fairly early on, the conversation had to come up that, like, I love you, but I'm maybe curious about what else is out there. How did it look in the early days of those discussions of trying to broach the subject of non-monogamy? And was it like more of a swinging look at the beginning or a poly, or did you just let it flow freely?
Here's how we like to refer to it, and this may or may not make sense to people, but we call it clown tipping. So where I grew up, they had a fair amount of cows, and, I don't know. Well, I guess we drank a lot of beer, beer, and we'd go out and we would tip the cows. Well, if you're into doing that with clowns and tipping over clowns, and you think you're the only one that's into tipping over clowns, you feel kind of lonely. But when you meet somebody, and this is the power of the internet, that is also into tipping clowns, all of a sudden you just have this like connection. And so we had, we were both exploring the same thing through this app, and that became a connection that really actually built a lot for us.
I would kind of describe it as, for David and I, when we came together, it was very sex positive exploration. So it was everything. I mean, we took kind of everything in. If we got invited to a kink party, we went. If we got invited to, a BDSM dungeon, we went. We've been to sex clubs across the United States, but it was just always this openness to finding what you're kind of, what you're into, right? And doing it in this safe environment where you felt like you could be yourself and find out who you are, and then, state that for other people.
Mm-hmm. And so there was never really a point where your relationship wasn't open in some manner, it sounds like.
No, and for us too, we stated as open together. So everything we do together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that allows us the possibility to be open to anything, really. But we make those decisions always together.
Yeah.
Had you tried it like separately and just found that doing it together worked better, or is it just something that you kind of came just like, you know what, I don't see any reason to stray from the togetherness at this point?
Yeah, I think from the very beginning look, it's all. I imagine for anybody that listens to the podcast, everybody sort of understands the different dynamics of excitement and teasing and denial, and we've just always included each other in that, and anyone else that is included in that exchange, if you will, knows that we're both in it. Like, it's just, that's just our thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And there are all sorts of variations on these themes. Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll change. Right? I mean, we're only 4 years into our relationship, so that could evolve to all kinds of different things. But as of right now, I still like him, so I still want to do everything that I do with him there with me. So
yeah. And so has there been any major changes in the last 4 years, or have you just been bouncing around, exploring it together and seeing where it goes?
But I think, yeah, to build on that too, you said you foresee changes in the future, and I think it's important too for people to understand that the way it looks on day one isn't necessarily the way it looks at the end of year 4. So have you seen any shifts, and maybe what drove some of those shifts?
Well, first of all, we're people watchers in every sense of the word. Yeah, so we do feel like we've seen shifts, and maybe it's just us seeing things that we didn't see before. But people are more and more open-minded, and we're seeing. We'll talk about the app some later, but we're seeing such incredible diversity of orientations, of gender representations, of relationship styles. But we definitely have a little bit of a formula that's been working for us.
And seeing that shift, has that allowed either of you to explore those things personally, or have you seen shifts in your own personal growth?
Oh, yes, 1,000%. I don't think you can decide to kind of go down this path and not grow while you're going down it. I think a lot of the, differences have really been in David and I, and just what we've learned about ourselves and what we've learned about each other, and working together for the same common, goal or kink or whatever it is for that certain moment. Yeah, I think we listened to one of your podcasts where you're talking about the elevator speech, which I think is an amazing idea. For David and I, working through, realizing that he's the more communicative one of the two of us. So, just kind of refining what those points that you want to make in those speech, and finding the best person to communicate them for us, which is him. We've learned that over the years.
Well, and every situation varies, right? I would say that the other thing, that we've learned is, and I think we both came to this with a pretty open mind, but is to just hold back if something's not quite for you, take it in a little bit. And I think we learned this as we were interacting a lot with the LGBT community. There's a lot of diversity in the world, and as you get to know people, it's really fascinating. Like they have the same drivers, and they become really sexy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Talking about that can be sexy as well, right? And for me, I come from a very Southern, hospitable background, right? It's all about making other people kind of be comfortable and giving them the experience that they're looking for. So for me, learning to speak up has really been a big difference, and something that David has helped over these years, because when you really have the trust in yourself and the trust in the people that you're with to really speak your truth, no matter what it is, that shouldn't be a scary thing for other people.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
And if we can all learn to do it, and again, I don't say this lightly, that's a hard thing to do. Communication is hard. If we can all get to the place to where we know ourselves and we can really say what we're into and what we're not into in a comfortable way, then everybody gets the chance to do that. And then people can actually come together more real.
More authentically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that can be really intimidating to do, especially.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it's not easy for us, and we've been trying to do it for almost a decade now. So it's always a learning and growing piece. So one would assume, and we know a little bit about the app, but maybe it's a good point to transition to. You two are trying to create a space that is more inclusive and is more diverse, and giving people that agency.
Mm-hmm.
I guess talk a little bit about.
Well, I would actually start before that and explain what is #open, and then we can go from there.
Well, based on our own journey and based on having used a whole bunch of apps and having met on an app, and we feel that that's so incredibly powerful, we wanted to build, an inclusive community where it was sex positive, a place that people can talk to each other, express their preferences, state their boundaries clearly, and explore. And they might do that as individuals. They might do that in partnership with others. They might do it in the real world or the virtual world or some combination. But we felt like we wanted to get rid of a lot of the crud and BS that we were running to in our own journey.
And we wanted to, really build a platform to where our users could come in and speak their preferences and their boundaries as easily and clearly as possible. There's a section in there where you put your hard limits, and for some of us, those are hard to talk about, but this is the place where you can just put right there the things that you're not into. They're never going to happen for you, right? And so I think that's really special.
And so overall, it is a sort of like a location-based app to connect with people, and you've done a lot too. It looks like to make it more inclusive, right? Whether it's gender, sexuality, any combination of those as well.
One of the challenges that Amanda put forward when we were sort of whiteboarding this community that we wanted to build and let people self-identify in is, do we need to have gender? And what we realized is that what we needed was for people to be able to really just pick any label, and if the label that they wanted to pick wasn't there, then create it, or for that matter, pick none at all. And so, we've got a gathering of people now. They're in 72 countries, but mostly in the U.S., concentrated in the larger cities. We've got just under 10,000 profiles of people that identify in 26 different genders and 20 some odd orientations. I haven't counted the number of relationship styles just the sheer number of hashtags that folks have used to express their preferences. And all that's searchable. So what we're trying to do is build a community where people can find each other.
Yeah, and it's in a safer community, right? One where they're not afraid to be who they are, and they're not going to be shamed off of the app because of it.
Exactly right. And, part of what we built into the app universe, if you will, is this self-policing environment. And by giving our users the ability when they unmatch with somebody to give some feedback on why exactly they unmatched with that person. Because all of our users, when they come into the app, have to abide by the rules of the game. And we state those clearly. And so if people are not doing that, the other members of the community have the ability to somewhat vote them off the island.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I think, too, that's not to say that just because somebody unmatches with you that you're out. It could just be a mismatch. Right. But if you're being a shitty person then
and trolling
get
people,
the hell out. That's my opinion. So I love that.
Mm-hmm.
This is, as you pointed out, a tool to help make it a safer place, right? We think that is ultimately how we can differentiate, by using the community itself to determine what's acceptable, to follow a pretty simple, code of conduct, if you will, rules of the game, and then let people do what people do.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
No, I do too. I think I'm really excited to
check it out.
Yeah, start using the app.
Yeah, so I think maybe if we wanted to, and we haven't had the chance yet to set up a profile, but if we were going to, what would that process look like for us? And would we have to be a couple, or would we be individuals, or how does that look?
So one of the things that we wanted to do is also incorporate a range of relationship styles. And so in the app, during the setup process, you decide whether you want to set up a solo profile, a partnered profile, or a solo and partnered profile. And, as they sound, they pretty much work. Solo profile is an individual that is going to check out the community, talk about themselves, and is really, I guess, a free agent. I mean, there are a lot of terms for it, but they're really just focusing on interacting as an individual. We have a partnered profile for folks who might be more used to models where people share profiles. And so one or the other partner can set this up. But where our partner profile is really differentiated is that you can invite a partner to it. And once that partner logs in from their own device, that becomes a confirmed partner profile. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's not just some dude sitting in his basement, like switching back and forth on his phone. He would actually have to go out and buy 2 phones if he wanted to catfish you.
Right. And, because sometimes if you are talking to a couple, 1, you don't know if they're truly a couple, and 2, you don't know who you're speaking to of that couple. So through our confirmed, partnership, when you're actually chatting with somebody, it's going to come up Amanda of David and Amanda, or David of David and Amanda.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, because allows you to have a partner profile, but also have some
personal agency.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it also allows both, partners to kind of stay up to, date in real time.
Yeah.
Because they can do it on their own phone.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And
yeah, super cool.
Yeah. And, this leads, I guess, makes someone think that you are collecting, I guess, a lot of data too on all of the people that you're having that are in the app. And I wanted to give you the chance to talk about.
Well, and to be fair, that's nothing different than any other, Facebook or
everyone
any other dating app. But we know that you have talked to us in private about some of the way that you're handling that, and with a little more ethical responsibility. And we wanted to give you the chance to talk about that so people can hear the good that you're actually doing.
Well, thank you. Because we do think that we are attempting to do something very unique with the data that we are going to be collecting. And like you said, all apps do that. A couple of differences, one, we're never going to sell your data for advertisement. And two, we want that data to go into a trust. So the data that we're collecting can only be used for interaction within the community, but then also for peer-reviewed, anonymized research. Because, we believe that numbers build a case towards subjective judgment. So that's the only way that, we can normalize some of these things and break down some of these out-of-date paradigms.
It's a great question, right? All of these apps, we're realizing, have a tremendous amount of ability to track our movements and our behaviors. And, one of the things Amanda said to me when we were building this is we have to make sure that people are safer. We have to make sure that what folks are doing in our app between consenting adults is kept between them. And so what we've done is really taken the time, and this is an ongoing process, but taken the time to ensure that our data is properly managed, and we're placing that data in trust so that it can't be sold, so it can't be used for lead generation, it can't be used to monetize in any way other than community interaction. Right? We're building a set of tools and I guess, in fact, a database of people that want to interact with each other. And our business model is to be compensated for building those tools and to be compensated by the people who are using the tools. So our data is really your data. It's the user's data. And that's why we're putting it in trust.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
No, it is. It's interesting to hear.
Yeah,
how you handle it.
And it leads into the final kind of piece of this is if we wanted to go and create a profile, or the listeners wanted to go and create a profile, I mean, is it a pay per month? Is it a pay, what is the structure? What's their barrier of entry for somebody to jump into it?
Right now, it's critical for us to have people check it out. We see everybody that comes into the app right now as a community founder. And Amanda and I and the rest of the team, and we interact with as many people as possible as we can in the app. If you look for #open in the Apple App Store or in the Google Play Store, you'll find it. You can also find it at our website, which is spelled out #open.com. And hopefully you'll find it at some, swinging events and some kink parties and some other ethically non-monogamous events, because we're trying to get the word out there and we'd love your help.
And it at the moment it is a free service, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you had told us too that you're doing some neat things with the pay structure, moving forward, and ways to, again, help foster community and give back. Do you mind talking a little bit about that? And then we'll move back into your story and
Sure.
Pry into your life some more.
So, Amanda and I have a couple things. The two of us own #open, and we've put everything we have into it and have, in fact, borrowed to build this business. And we feel that the way that we want to try and earn a return on that and sustain it is by having the community support the app. So right now our focus is entirely on growing the community. At some point over the course of this year, we'll ask people to give at a modest level. We're talking about a few bucks a month, and we suspect that a significant percentage of the user base will be willing to do that. It's important to us that the features are available to everyone, and so we're going to test different models to make that work.
Awesome. And right now too, if people sign up, you told us that it's a $1 donation to Planned Parenthood. That's correct?
Yes, right now for every new user that comes into the app, we are donating $1 to Planned Parenthood, up to $69,000. So,
cool. And that's that's important to just remind everybody, which you guys do a great job of the importance of safe sex and communication. So we're excited about doing that.
Yeah, no, and we're excited to hear that. And I think if nothing else, I think people should go check out the app and help out a good cause at the same time. And the more people that go and do this, the better and better the app is going to get.
Right.
Just like anything, it's the more people there are, the better the community and the stronger the community. So we'll be on there, and we hope to see some of our listeners on there. And we don't have anything to give away here, no promotional, because it's free and you're already donating. So this is just a purely go check this awesome shit out.
Yeah, plug.
Yeah,
it's a community building thing, and we really we appreciate your interest in what we're doing. One of the things that occurred to us when we were talking to you the other day with your travel, there's a free travel feature within the app. Mm-hmm. So if you know that you're going to be in San Francisco, or you know that you're going to be in Chicago, or for that matter, you're going to be in Buenos Aires, mm-hmm. you can plug that in and see who's there. And slowly but surely, as we do that around the world, we're seeing pockets of growth.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well,
more people.
I think we both want to say thanks for sharing all of that on the app side, but then maybe we dive back in and hear a little more about your journey and where you two think it's going, and maybe some other prying question. Maybe Emma's got one that she wants to dig into your life.
Well, I know we talked a lot about communication already, but I know that that's something that is talked a lot about in the non-monogamous community, and is something that's not always easy. And have there been struggles in the last 4 years of relationship that I guess you've learned from, that you have learned to be better communicators about?
I've learned a couple of things that I think are okay to share. Why don't I share them, and then you decide? You can say yay or nay.
Okay. If you hear a thump, that's a pencil on his head.
I definitely, as this relationship approach was very new for me. It was new for both of us. And I found that once I was able to vocalize a fear or a discomfort and really talk through it, that it would go away, assuming that we engaged and talked through it. And if we didn't, it wouldn't go away. Mm-hmm. So that was something that I definitely learned.
That's a great example.
Yeah. And maybe if you don't mind sharing, what were some of the fears? Because I think that's another common thing that people have when they come in to this lifestyle for the first time. There's tons of scary shit that's happening all the time, and we're not conditioned for a lot of it. We don't go to school and learn about how to be non-monogamous, and so it is scary, and it sometimes helps to hear other people tell what scared them.
Well, so ironically, going back to your original question, I think for me personally, the communication aspect was the scariest, and the reason why I wanted to push myself to be in an open relationship, right? Because that communication is just so important. And the first step of that is communicating with yourself, right? You have to be, as Dan Savage says, good, giving, and game, right? You have to come into this being your best self, and then being able to communicate that with somebody else. And I think I've found that for a lot of people, communicating what you don't like and what doesn't work for you is a lot easier than finding out the things that you do like. So, starting with that kind of easy ground of just talking about the things that you don't like helps. Nice. I don't think, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did.
That's good. Yeah, no, it's good.
It evolves, right? It constantly evolves. And I actually, speaking of Savage, my entire sort of sexual education came about in reading his column and then listening to the podcast. And what I found in Amanda was somebody that was so interested in learning about so many different things. And, we would, I think of this time that we were in New York, and we went to a friend of ours took us to a kink party, right? We're walking to the bar, and as we got to the bar, you had to step up. And why did you have to step up?
There was a very, very nice man who was rolled up in an Oriental rug, and there was a sign there that said, if you're willing, please step on George while you order your drink.
For whatever reason, that really made George's night.
That was George's kink. He liked to be rolled up and stepped on. But for David and I, leaving there later, it was just so much fun to talk about everything that we saw. It was like, hey, did you step on George? He's like, yeah, did you? And I'm like, well, yeah, it didn't harm me, and George sure liked it. So I stepped right up there and ordered my drink. But we got to see so many things. For some people, that communication is hard. Having that visual and then being able to talk about it later was a lot easier. And we got to, like you said, just talk about different kink and BDSM and what really turns people on and why.
Yeah, no, I think that's fascinating. And again, it's one of those things that you wouldn't even, if you were to tell me that was somebody's kink, I would never have thought that was
right. I wouldn't think of it. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Hashtag step on me.
Yeah.
But as long as everybody is consenting and discusses the boundaries, then
as long as people are enthusiastically consenting with other adults, go do whatever it is that you want to do. Your bedroom's your bedroom, and that's, do your thing. We just want to provide a tool to where people can find somebody else that really wants to do that thing that they want to do.
Respect each other and be open to other experiences, and that's really, I guess that's the kind of community that we want to foster in the app. We're trying to build tools for people to do that, and we kind of think that can help make the world a better place. As you were saying, sex is seen so negatively at least in our society. It's kind of baffling.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think that's a really well said.
Just to think about your moving about in your day-to-day life, it's acceptable to talk about pretty much anything with friends and family except for sex. And it's I understand maybe not your parents, but for your friends and such, why is that such a taboo subject? Our society doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, Amanda, you read more than anybody I know. There seem to be a lot of theories that seem to have a lot to do with property and control.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right. For the first time, we're really seeing women kind of rise up and come to the head of the economy. For the generation of my grandmother, the only way that she could get out of, a bad situation in West Virginia was to marry somebody that was, twice her age. Yeah. But, now women can go to college. We can have our own careers. So that is kind of changing the dynamic of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And for the better.
Right. Yeah. Everything's evolving for hopefully in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, so, I think we covered some awesome and fascinating ground today. You two have shared some amazing insights. You're creating an amazing resource, one that, again, we are going to check out. As of the recording time, the Android version isn't out yet, but by the time this is released, it will be out. So we haven't had the chance yet to check it out, but we've gotten a little video walkthrough on the Apple version, and it looks awesome, and we're very excited for it. And we wanted to get you on quickly to get this resource out, because I think we both feel strongly that the inclusivity and the openness that you are bringing to this approach is it's awesome.
And we really enjoy promoting people that are out there doing good and pushing just a positive mindset and an open mindset. And so thank you for doing everything you're doing.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on and sharing, a little bit about who you are and your background, and maybe in the future we'll have you back on for a part 2, and we can hear a little more, some more juicy gossip. Not that you're big gossipers, but
can't kiss and tell. At least not without permission, right?
Right. Exactly. So
thank you.
Yeah. Was there, just before we say goodbye, was there anything that we may have missed that you two wanted to share?
We really appreciate what you're doing. The podcast is really nice because it gives different people's perspectives. That's really how we all grow and discover new stuff. So thanks for doing what you're doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
And and unless there's anything else, which it sounds like there's not, we will
say goodbye.
We will say goodbye, and we will keep in touch, and we look forward to seeing you on the app in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Oh, welcome back. That was a good one.
Yeah,
it's like we scored a goal in soccer.
Anyway,
what?
Well, hope you guys all enjoyed that amazing interview with Amanda and David, and go check out #open, please.
Yeah, we hope to see you on there. We will be on there, and we'll be swiping left and right in all sorts of directions. So I don't think we will. I only swipe right.
Okay. You're just keeping talking yourself into a spiral here.
Anyway, Wednesday in 2 days from now, if you're listening to this on Monday, we've got a normally scheduled interview, episode 54, with
Heather and Mike.
They are a couple who reached out to us via our email, which you can also do. And it's a cool interview.
It's awesome.
They've been like fast lane swingers, so it's pretty cool. So come back on Wednesday. We'll see you then, and have a good Tuesday.
Yeah, until then, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, or Casty under the screen name NNM Podcast. That's NNM Podcast.
They know by now.
Well, not everyone. Anyway, That's it.